How's it going, everybody? It's your boy Trip, and welcome back to another episode of All in a Day's Work, officially signing on. This is our Mental Health Monday with your boy Trip, so before we get started, please be sure to click that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to click that notification bell. That way you guys get notified of all the videos that we have coming to you in the very near future. And again, please, if you like what you see here, go ahead and leave some comments down below. Let's get into this. So, Mental Health Monday. Again, I've talked to you guys before about going back and forth between different tips, techniques, and just discussing mental health and some of the things that we can do with our coping mechanisms. And I decided to teach at least or give you guys a couple tips on some of the skills that I learned while I was in the Army as a Master Resiliency Trainer. And if you guys would like to know more, you can always just Google Army Resiliency Training or CSF2 to give or to get a broad understanding, a really good understanding, really, of what the program is. But anyways, what I've been doing is just kind of diving into some of those skills or just those skills and breaking them down, simplifying them so you guys can use them yourself in different techniques for mental health. Because as we all know, in today's world, that's a crisis in and out of itself that doesn't get talked about. Not nearly as much as it should. So, or if really at all. But, you know, I believe we can change that. So, what I wanted to do was get into the third skill, just keeping on from last week with our optimism viewpoint and the good stuff skill. I wanted to just keep that ball rolling and move on to the next one, which is the ATC model, which is this is the skill where you actually get to dive into your mind and actually think about some things. Now the ATC skill, it's actually broken down, and it stands for activating events which drive your thoughts and your consequences. Because with thoughts come consequences, and you happen to have those things based on a reaction to whatever activating event. Okay? And they break this down as a model, and I'll show you a picture of what that model looks like. And this was developed by Dr. Albert Ellis. So shout out to Dr. Albert Ellis. And the model highlights the link between thoughts, emotions, or reactions. Okay, and it breaks down what those things are. Okay, so you can use this model to identify your activating event, which drives your heat of the moment thought. So the thought that comes right after that event happens. And that thought, with that thought, what are the consequences and some of the, thoughts that come with that. So it just breaks it down. It's actually a really decent model if you get a chance to work through. So let's break that down. We might as well just get right into it. ATC. Activating event with your thoughts and your consequences. Okay? And your consequences are your emotions and reactions. Okay? So take a moment to remember that. So let's get into this. The A, activating event. That's the trigger. A challenge, adversity, or it could even be a positive event. Okay? Then you get into the T, thoughts. Your interpretations. Okay, again, your interpretations of that activating event. This is it's really simple. It's what you say to yourself in the heat of the moment. And then you have the C, which is the consequences part. And all that is the emotions and the reactions. Okay? based on those thoughts that you just had. So let's say you have an activating event, whatever those heat of the moment thoughts that come directly to you when that event happens, and then how you feel and what your reaction is. Maybe that's just sweaty palms because you got bad news. Whatever the case is, emotions and reactions, they're built from your consequences, which come right after you having that heat of the moment thought, all based on the activating event. Simple, right? So how does that work? How do we do that in the moment? How do we have time to think about, well, wait, how am I feeling right now as this happened, or whatever the case is? So I want you to just kind of identify an activating event. I want you guys to think. You kind of come up with a list, and just think about different kind of activating events, different things that can happen to you. Bam, there it is. How you feel about it, how you're gonna act. What are you saying to yourself? Just pulling it back just a little bit. Okay. You can identify activating events. Think about, when was the last time something, just that happened, just stressed you out? When was the last time something happened, something just stresses you out? Or maybe you can think about, when was the last incident in which you were faced with a conflict? What about home? Is there an event, maybe a vivid time, when you're faced with some news that just made you anxious, maybe excited, annoyed, angry, disappointed? You're probably thinking to yourself right now, of course, hell, all of 2020. I had all of those, 2020 and then 2021, so 2020 plus, I guess that's what we call it. I had all of those emotions right there. 2020, I was anxious, excited to be getting out of the pandemic, annoyed that shit's just fucked up now, angry our politicians, and disappointed at the fact that based on one thing, we've completely revamped everything we know to be true. We can go on and on and on about that, but hell, we could save that for a whole nother video. Think about your work life. Where do you work? How many people do you know are working a shit job they absolutely hate, but yet they're doing it because they have to make ends meet? That's more than what we see out here in the world or in TV or in media, whatever the fucking case is. But let's think about the common American. Hell, there's 330 people in America. Just think about that. Not everybody has their dream job. I think we could find a poll or a percentage that would show the exact opposite of that. How many people actually work their dream job? Because I was once told that if you're working a job that you absolutely love and you love what you're doing, it doesn't feel like work. How many people get to experience that? I would say a lot more people don't get to experience that than the other. So maybe think about a recent time or a vivid time, hell, when you were faced with some news where you work that just made you anxious, angry, annoyed, disappointed maybe. You didn't get the promotion you've been working so hard for. They gave it to the new booty. Or they gave it to someone to try to fit a narrative. What's the best thing that's happened to you recently? You think of a time, something very specific, just and positive, that sparked a positive emotion within you recently. Think about that. Can you think of a time that you didn't do as well as you'd hoped to? And it impacted your confidence on future performances, future actions? future decisions. These are all different examples of activating events. So in case I've lost you with my randomness, I want you to think about that. Okay. But moving on. So the next thing we talk about is thought themes, right? This is really diving into this. Okay. Thought themes. What's a thought theme? We have thoughts, which come with emotions and reactions, right? Thought themes. The themes, where these thoughts come from. Loss, that's a good theme. Your emotion could simply be just sad. You're sad because you've lost something near and dear to you. Reaction to that, maybe you're withdrawn from people. You're withdrawn from whatever event. Kind of bring yourself back away from that. Whatever event led up to whatever that loss was, whatever contributed to that loss. Maybe it's the loss of a person, loss of a job, loss of something that you value. A material item, maybe, that holds value to you. I don't know. It's for you to determine what is loss and how do you feel about losing. Then you have danger. That's a hell of a thought theme. Your life is in danger. Your job is in danger. Maybe your home is in danger of being destroyed because of the climate change and recent wildfires that we just have burning through the West. Maybe it's a flood. Maybe it's a volcano. Maybe it's a hurricane or tornado. Your life could be in danger. Some of the emotions that come with that, or best emotion I think that does come with that, would be anxiety. Anxious because you just do not know or understand what is happening or what's about to happen. And the reaction with that could be agitation. You're aggravated. You're just easily manipulated. You just can't deal. You don't want to deal. Or trespass. Think about that thought theme. Trespass. This is where anger is your emotion because you've been duped. You've been stepped on. You've had something happen to you where you feel like somebody has trespassed into your personal territory. And the emotion that comes with that is just anger. So how do you react when you're angry? When you're angry, you bring out more aggression in things and areas that maybe weren't as necessary as before. Or maybe it's totally necessary and it's a time for you to be aggressive. But that doesn't also mean excessive. You see, you can have aggression. You can have this built up rage and aggression. It's about honing that and understanding what that is and not being excessive when you act out based on that aggression. Think about that. You don't want to act out to a point where you cannot control and understand what's going on because of anger and your aggressiveness. You have to hone in, understand what's going on. Which ties me right into the next thought thing, which is simply inflicting harm. Maybe you feel guilty because you either have inflicted harm on somebody or you feel guilty because you were, like I said earlier, duped and somebody inflicted harm against you. And this is where you have this ideas going through your head constantly. And you feel guilty and you see yourself reacting in a way of like you're just continuing to apologize for things that you did or didn't do, or maybe people didn't think that you performed as well or whatnot. You feel the need that you have to apologize because you feel guilty with yourself. You're not performing. You feel guilty because you didn't do what you were asked to do to the level that was expected by somebody else. You see where these are going? I hope you do. You have negative comparison as another thought theme. Comparing yourself to others or what they have or what they value based on what you have. So you feel embarrassed. Right? I mean, who wouldn't feel embarrassed? Been working my butt off at talking about this specific thing and somebody else gets it? And now I got to compare myself to this person who gets the thing that I wanted? But I made such a big deal about it in front of so many people. Now I feel embarrassed. I'm going to be a little hidden. So imagine, if you will, you talking the most ungodly amount of shit talk that you could talk about, let's say, a specific sport. And there's a huge upset with the sport, and you had talked to everybody about it. You were amped up, excited, you know. Let's say we're talking about boxing, right? And it's the Conor versus Mayweather fight, and you bet, and you were talking so much about how Conor's going to destroy Floyd Mayweather and shut him up. And then you lose that bet because Mayweather wins and it's just a really good fight, or he knocks the fuck out of Conor. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, that happens. Well, damn. Now you feel like you've put yourself in a position because you've negatively compared the boxers or yourself and how much you know about the fight and what's going to happen. You could feel embarrassed. So maybe you call out of work the next day to let the heat die down a little bit so you're not as embarrassed when you do have to go back to work or see your friends. You tend to hide a little bit. You get what I'm saying. But then we can shift that as well and think about this in a positive manner. So how do you use the thought theme in a positive manner, right? Well, think about a positive contribution. Maybe that's contributing your time and effort and energy into something. Maybe it's contributing financially. A positive contribution you've received, maybe. Maybe you feel a sense of pride. You feel proud about what you were able to do for somebody else. Some of the emotions, pride in itself could be an emotion. But the reaction with that would be to share. Maybe share how you feel, share what you did, share what happened to you. You plan for future events and achievements to try to have that same goal. Because who wouldn't want success to continue to happen over time? And then you got to hone it back even further and appreciate what you have received. What you have received. Appreciating things that you have achieved is going to make you feel, gratuitous? You're going to feel a sense of gratitude. And if you're a good person, it's going to give you that reaction of giving back or paying it forward to somebody less fortunate than you, or somebody that's willing to put in the work and help somebody else. And one of the last thought themes that this model talks about in the ATC is positive future. It's a thought theme. We can go left, right, up, down to create a positive future. Kind of gives you that emotional feel of hope. Hope. And with hope, you're going to start energizing yourself to take action. Take appropriate action to accomplish the goal to have a positive future. Now I've rambled on for a while. Talked to you about what the model looks like and thought themes, and hell, you're probably not even watching this anymore, but if you happen to stick through this, I think you might learn something. So let me break this whole thing down for you in a real life scenario that has happened. And maybe this will hone in and make you understand what I'm talking about. So I'm going to break down this model and exactly what an activating event is, with that coincides with your thoughts and your consequences, which are your emotions and your reactions. Okay? So think about the activating event. That's the who, the what, the when, the where. Activating event. Bam! So an example could be like, asked my son to play basketball after returning from a deployment, but he said no. Pretty simple. Me, come back from a deployment. I want to play ball with my son. That's something that we used to do. He says no. Wow. Not like a slap in the face, right? But I guess as any parent knows, that get to a point where your kids just don't want anything to do with you and you happen to be the bitter enemy, I guess. But maybe that's just me. So he asked his son to play basketball. Returned from a deployment. Son said no. Now he goes into the thoughts. Okay, what did he say to himself in the heat of the moment? What happened right when he said no? Maybe one of the heat of the moment thoughts is, my son doesn't want to be with me. Which can bring out the emotion of being bummed out, sad. The thought theme there would be lost, because maybe he feels betrayed. Or like he let his son down. What did he do? Well, he just shook his head, left the room, started drinking. So he asked his son to play basketball. Son said no. He felt bummed out, depressed, sad. So he shook his head. All right. Left the room and he started drinking. Why not? Crack a cold one. All right, fuck it. And because he started drinking, he's had another heat of the moment thought, and these can build. This can stack right on top of the other. So you start thinking to yourself, well, shit, he's a ungrateful, angry little brat. So now you feel pissed off about that. You feel trespassed. You've been stepped on. So what did you do then? You went and yelled at your son. Hey, you little shit, be grateful. Whatever. Be happy I want to play ball with you. He yelled at his son. So now you got to think about this. What do you think? What's the next heat of the moment thought that can come right after that event? The event being he yelled at his son. What's the heat of the moment thought? What's something that's going to go through your head right after he yelled at his son? What's the emotion behind that? How do you feel? What's one of the thought themes? And then think about this. With that emotion, right after you yelled at your son, how are you going to react now? Maybe he hit his son. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he shouted louder or yelled at somebody else. Who knows? You got to think about that. And then you have to ask yourself, this is the big one I think a lot of us need to focus on right here. This is the question I think, hell, I'm going to end with this one here. This question here, I think, needs to be asked. I think this question needs to be asked in so much of our society today. And that is simply ask yourself, are my emotions and reactions helping or harming the situation? Ask yourself that question. Are my emotions getting in the way? Is how I'm reacting really helping to the current situation? I don't know. It's for you to figure out. Again, this has been another Mental Health Monday with your boy Trip. Don't forget to check out our website here at allinadays.com. You can get all your merchandise. And there's also a donation button there. So please donate to the cause. Help us out because we really want to get out and help the homeless veterans in our areas. And we can't do that without your help. We really want to get them off the street. So before we end, do me a solid and like that video, share, subscribe to our page on YouTube. And remember, this has been an All in a Day's Work Mental Health Monday. Officially signing off.